I'm not a proponent of trying to overexploit the forest resource as we have in the past, but right now we're underexploiting the forest resource, and we could do a lot better using more wood, both for reasons of forest health, but particularly for the human experience. I think would be better if we used more wood. Sequestration, I believe, should not be used to mean storage in the forest. That's storage. Sequestration is the act of removing it from the atmosphere and putting it into wood material.
So the idea is that we're going to pull carbon dioxide out of the air, and the tree is going to use that to build wood material, and that carbon is stored in that tree as long as that tree is living. And so if we take that tree and harvest it and manufacture it into products, that carbon gets put into that product for the lifespan of that product. And the other advantage of using trees is when we harvest that material to make a product to help society, a new tree grows in its place and pulls more carbon out of there, while the carbon that was pulled out is tied up in a structure or a good, so it's not released back into the environment during the life cycle of that product. So it has the advantage of not only just storing up carbon in the product, but when we plant a new tree, we pull more carbon out of the air. If you were to leave that tree in the forest, and let's say it age and pass in the forest, as it ages, the amount of carbon that is sequestered is reduced. And then if that tree dies and falls into the forest, that carbon is again released through the decay process. So ultimately, if we don't harvest it, sequester it, and utilize it, it's going to be released into the environment again.
That returns me to the thought about what's the best thing that we can do climate-wise with our forests is to use them and produce solar-powered materials and energy that can take the place of fossil fuel materials and energy. In order to deal with the associated problems of this profligate use of fossil fuels, we need now to return to using wood as a key element of a sustainable future. And that will be part of solving our over-reliance, overindulgence of fossil fuels.
Part of the need of our country and in the world is to reduce our carbon footprint and to sequester more carbon and to utilize materials that are sustainable. And what is the most sustainable raw material, biomaterial that's out there? It's wood. And so if we want to solve our climate issues, we should be using more wood. And in order to do that, we've got to have working forests that are harvested and replanted to make sure that we can meet the needs of our society with new wood products, and ultimately to be the best environmentalists that we can be.
Once the material gets sawn into, everything has some use.
So when you think about the production of something from a tree, we use the whole tree itself. In that process, there are higher value products and lower value products. And so every part of that tree has to have a use for it in the end. And so there are various segments of the industry that are all required because we're all tied together in this ecosystem. So when we harvest a tree, we cut the tree into lumber. There's bark that's given. There's chips that are made. There's sawdust that's made. And we want to make sure that all that's being used in addition to the higher value product, which is the lumber. And so we have to have these other industries to utilize those products. So bark can be used for bark mulch or boiler fuel. Chips can be used in pulp and paper or for pellets. Wood, of course, can be used for making buildings and furniture and flooring, but all these things need to work together, because when you harvest a tree and get a log, it's not just the greatest, highest quality lumber that's there, right? So you get residuals or byproducts from the process, but as you saw into the tree, the value of the lumber or the quality of that lumber decreases, and so we need markets for all of those things to be able to make the industry work and survive as that ecosystem, or you might call it a supply chain. We have a large supply chain of products that need to be manufactured so that we're wisely using and sustainably using our forest products. If we want to save the planet, we want to use more trees. We want to use sustainable and renewable materials as we move into the future.